All right, let's break down this game. First and foremost, 5 straight, 34-6. They weren't perfect. They were not perfect, but they did not need to be perfect. And they were perfect when they needed to. They did exactly what they should have done to this team yesterday. I told you yesterday on our breakdown that there was no way, if the Eagles play the way they are capable and should be playing, that this game would be close. And it wasn't. And truthfully, I'm not going to apologize for this. I think they're playing confidently. I think I forget now at this point the who was on the schedule. These guys are playing like a Super Bowl contender. They are doing exactly what they should be doing to teams they should be doing it to. They should be beating the Cowboys 34-6. They should be blowing out the Giants. They should be blowing out the Bengals. So they've been playing with that confidence level, and to me, that's what they should. I'm not going to apologize for it. They're playing like a Super Bowl contender. And another thing I'm not going to apologize for, I think we need to take a step back and reevaluate Nick Sirianni as the coach of this team. Yes, sometimes he's a clown show. Yes, sometimes his decision making costs points and takes points off the board. But all he does is win. And I mean, you look at his record since he's been in the league, and sure, you can point to the roster, but the record speaks for itself. And he has this team believing in themselves. He has this team ready to play. At one point, after that fumble by Jalen that had the Cowboys set to, I believe they would have gone and taken the lead on that or whatever it was, they held them to the field goal. They could have folded there. They could have started looking ahead to Washington, but they did not panic. This team does not panic. This team stays focused on what they want to do in all the adversity. And maybe part of that stems from learning from last year. I don't know. But I think we need to take a step back and look at Nick Sirianni and say, maybe he's a pretty damn good coach. Yes, he's goofy as hell sometimes. Yes, his decision making is questionable at times. But if you look back at Andy Reid, there were times where we said similar things. Maybe not the clown show part or the goofy as hell, but how many times did we say, Andy, you need to manage the clock better? Andy Reid's clock management cost us a chance to win Super Bowl 39. So I think, and we kind of just accepted that that's who Andy Reid was. I think it's time at this point, because of how he gets this team ready to play, it might be time to just accept that maybe that's just who Nick Sirianni is, and we need to take it because the end product is what we want and what we need. He's taken us to a Super Bowl sooner than what Andy Reid did. So I know that's controversial. I know it's not a popular opinion to have, but look, the man's record speaks for itself. That team, that was a turning point in that game. That game could have gone the other way. It really, really could have. I think it was 14-6, whatever it was. But it could have gone the other way. And they did not panic. And Jalen went over and said thank you to the defense, which to me, more on that in a minute, that's a sign of true leadership. I don't know. You can disagree. I'm sure the Back to the Future voice and text line is going to be blowing up with this today. But I think it's time we take a step back and look at the job that Nick Sirianni has done with this team. Like, this could have been a close game. This could have been one of those games that slipped away. Instead, you have Kenny Two Gloves playing. You have the starters resting on a short week leading into a big game against the Washington Commanders, who had to play to the very end. That's coaching. That's the coach. And again, he's not perfect. He is not perfect. But he does those little things right that this team needs. So be sure to let me know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line on Nick Sirianni. Can't wait for the back and forth today. 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, absolute studs. Jalen Carter, absolute man. Grown man playing among boys yesterday. That was just reminiscent of Jerome Brown. And like I said, this team is playing with confidence on defense. And look out. I mean, they got a little bit of swag, and Zach Bond, re-sign him now. Like, they just looked awesome on defense. Let's take a quick look at the keys to the game. I said don't look ahead, and I think they're good. I mean, like I said, there was a point in that game where it could have gone the other way, but the team rallied around, and they came back, and it was a good answer on offense. Jalen fumbled it. They came right down and scored. That is key. You had the starters resting in the fourth quarter. They did exactly what they needed to do to this Dallas team. I said you're going to have to run the ball to open up the pass. They had 187 rushing yards. They really ran the ball. Saquon didn't have his best game, but again, he did not need to. It was refreshing to see them be able to win a game without Saquon running for 150 yards. And it did set up the passing game. AJ had a monster game. Jalen looked, again, very confident passing the ball. So he did have the 2 turnovers. The fumble was just brutal. And on the interception, maybe he held on to it for a second too long. But the Cowboys made one hell of a defensive play on that. So I can't really get mad about his being aggressive there or anything. That was just one hell of an interception. And then finally I said, make Cooper Rush beat you. Shut down the running game. There was some gash plays in there that made me nervous at times. But for the most part, the Cowboys could not get off the field or stay on the field on third down. Cooper Rush had 45 yards. They did their job. 4 fumbles and an interception. The fact that Jalen, they picked him up, I think is key. And I love the way this team is playing right now. And it's awesome to see. Like I said, I think with Jalen, he's still playing well. He's going to have some turnovers every now and then. The fumble, it was reminiscent to what he did in the Super Bowl. But that interception, I can't be mad at that because that was a hell of a play. And yeah, I think he did hold on to it for a second or two too long. But I think as a complete game, Jalen was money today. I mean, or yesterday. You can't be upset about that. One quick note before we get into the GOAT of the game. Jerry Jones blamed the sun in the first half on how the Cowboys played. Now, a couple things about this. First of all, you got to choose the side. The Eagles won the toss and deferred. You got to choose the side. Your coach or your players chose to go into that side, 1. 2, if I'm not mistaken, I believe AT&T Stadium has not only a retractable roof, but I think there's curtains on that one side that's shut, that you could have shut the curtains to block the sun out. So that's either, I don't know if you can do it during the game, probably not, but that's just piss poor planning, and it's great to see the dumpster fire that is the Dallas Cowboys dumpster fire. You gotta love it. And then around the NFC East yesterday, I mean, the day started with the Giants gianting. Finally, they were down big. Daniel Jones led them, tied the game up to send it to overtime. Giants won the toss, fumbled on the first play. I mean, could it have been any better for the NFC, as Eagles fans, with the way the NFC East played out? Washington blew a lead in Pittsburgh, or I guess they were at home against Pittsburgh. You got to love it. Setting up a big showdown on Thursday night down at the Link. The Commanders, Eagles. Eagles are now in first place. Your first place, Philadelphia Eagles. They could build a little bit of a cushion with a win on Thursday. And I think a win on Thursday will go a long way in hopefully silencing the doubters of, well, they haven't played anybody. But it was a good day for the NFC East. But who was the GOAT of the game? Was it Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown? And I couldn't pick one guy off the defense. It could have been Zach Bond. Could have been Jalen Carter. Could have been Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, take your picks. We're going to put the defense in general. Was it Jalen, AJ, or the defense? Who was your GOAT of the game? 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest. Want to vent to me about Sirianni and tell me how wrong I am? That's fine. You're wrong. We need to take a look at this dude and realize he's goofy as hell. He makes some bad decisions, but he gets the job done. So, but more importantly, let me know your go to the game. Jalen, AJ, or the defense as a whole. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. It's a victory Monday. Your Philadelphia Eagles are in first place. They are 7-2 and looking good. And I'm not going to apologize for it. This team is looking like a Super Bowl contender. Yeah.